Well, thanks again for coming. Back at Constitution Hill Cycle Works for the course on how to fix a punctured bicycle tyre by replacing the tube. Thanks again. Just want to check that you're comfortable with the temperature that we're in right now.
Yeah, it's all.
Chair's okay?
Yeah.
We won't be here for very long, it's about a 15-minute presentation. You need to use the toilet, it's just through the door there.
Yeah.
In the case of an emergency, you'll escape through the door right to where you can see on your right there. Water is also in the fridge just there, and you can just, there's a glass there ready for you. Before we start, have you got any questions?
No. Questions.
Let's get started then. So obviously you know why you're here. It's to how to fix a punctured bicycle tyre by replacing the tube. Both of you ride a bicycle. It's always a good skill to have to be able to fix a puncture in the field and not ask for help. It's not that hard, but we're assuming in this particular case that you're carrying a spare tube, which I definitely recommend you do. It saves having to put a patch on. Patches are always a bit of a hit and miss affair because you've got to find the hole. If you've got a spare tube, bang, you just fix the puncture and carry on. You can fix the hole in the tube at the workshop at home. So what we're going to be doing, here's the learning objectives. We're going to understand how to remove a tyre from a bicycle wheel with tyre levers. We're going to locate where the tyre direction information is on the tyre, so if we put it back on, we know which direction it's supposed to go. Where to locate the correct pressure information on the tyre. How to remove and reinstall the tube in the tyre. How to reinstall the tyre on the wheel. How to open and close a pressed valve, and how to refill the tyre to the correct pressure with a small hand pump. That's what we'll be doing, and you'll be on your way if this is what you can do if you get a puncture. So the sequence of events, once you've got the wheel off, which we learned in the last tutorial, so you're good with that, the wheel's already off. You have to, and there'll be some pictures as well, but I just want to explain what the sequence is. You've got to push the tyre into the centre. You've got to undo the valve nut, which I'll show you in a moment. You've got to use the tyre levers to release the tyre from the rim. You've got to pull the tube out of the tyre and the valve from the rim. Then you obviously replace the tube in the correct alignment with the tube slightly inflated. You tighten the nut onto the valve, lever the tube back onto the rim, inflate to the correct pressure if possible. If not, because it's a hand pump, you just as much as you can, because trying to get the full pressure into some of these tyres with a hand pump isn't really impossible, but it depends how strong and keen you are. And you check that the tyre is seated correctly. So that's what we're going to be doing today. This is what's called a pressed valve. And if you just grab the tube, and if I've got a tube sitting over the chair there, Sharon, there's a bicycle on the chair, back in the chair there, and there's a tube.
Oh, right.
Alright, so just sort of, it's probably just easier to show you right here, even though I've already got the valve nut, locking nut off. The locking nut would be here, but this one has come off the bicycle. That's the locking nut, but obviously it's not there. It is on the wheel to your left, but we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
There's a nut on it, but when it's off the wheel, you won't have the nut on it. But this is the actual pressed valve. Right, so this is the valve you release. I've got another picture, but you just release this little part here, and that lets the air out.
That's right, yes, I remember.
And then you turn it back in, and you want to close it off. This is opposed to a Schrader valve, which is on a car, which we're all used to. Doesn't have any fiddly parts like this. This can take higher pressure. I think this is why it's done.
Do all wheels use Preston?
Most of the modern bikes do now, but not all. Cheaper bikes tend to have the Schrader valve.
Oh, so the came-up bike.
Came-up bikes might have a Schrader valve, but it seems to be all moving towards this.
Do road bikes have Preston?
Some of them have, all the road bikes have Preston valves, especially the type of the wheel we're doing today, but some have tubeless.
That helps it not go down, doesn't it? Is that the rationale as to why you have Preston valves?
I think maybe lightness and can take higher pressure. Because the pressure on this tyre is actually 120 psi.
Is there a benefit to running it, just like the lightness?
Yeah, I think the lightness and the ability to hold pressure.
Yeah.
Because the car tyre in there's never run 120 psi.
Yeah.
Like 30 psi. So, and also if you think about this, the tyres actually this doesn't even get this big when it's inside the tyre. When we blow it up, it's held quite tightly. So that's the pressed valve as opposed to the Schrader, which I'm not going into because we're not using any. We have no bikes in this shed. Neither of your bikes have Schrader valves on them. So once we get the tyre in our hands, we've got to push in, and we're going to be doing this in a moment, and push it in to release the slide ball. It's actually pretty easy to do. You don't need much strength. So push one bead of the tyre towards the rim centre, will be pressed tight against the rim. Pushing inwards loosens the bead from the rim, repeat on the other bead. But we're only taking one side of the tyre.
Sorry, what's a bead?
That's, it's the side of the tyre. It's the ring of the tyre. You can't see it with the tyre that's on a bicycle wheel already because it's inside.
Okay.
If you pass me, it's a good question though, if you pass me that wheel, right, the bead is in there. because it's the
Okay.
one that locks against it that keeps the tyre on the actual rim. So it stops
So
it
it's
from moving.
indented
Yeah, you'll see it. The bead is you'll sort of see it's got a little tiny lip on it.
and it's called bead.
The bead, yeah, which I'll get to the bead, because otherwise the tyre wouldn't stay on. There's a little lip on the
Yeah, of
rim,
course,
so it
yeah,
has to stay, otherwise it would move around. Then I have these exact tyre levers, so just like the picture, engage one tail under the bead, and then the second one, then pull these towards the spokes and it will just lift off. It's quite satisfying. And we'll be doing-
Stupid question.
No, it's not.
Am I supposed to carry these?
Yes,
Okay.
you are, but you've got someone who rides with you that tends to carry all the spares and will do it for you. But this is an educational session,
but-
just in case you're by yourself. Yeah, in the little bag on the back of your bike,
Yep.
there should be the tyre levers, the pump.
Because you can't do it without a tyre lever.
Not really, no. There's not much. Spoons.
Well,
I
you
used to
just
as a
have to-
kid, I would use spoons.
You'd have to flag down some other
It's not bad.
some other fit rider that
You
looks like
probably could.
looks like they might
Probably
have
could.
them.
I'm sure you'd be rescued as a dad and a little stressful. Wouldn't you like to pull out your own tyre levers and go,
Absolutely.
unless you're risking breaking a nail, of course. So, let's just.
Or just bring some spoons like.
It's good, no, the back end of the spoon, but you've got to be careful because if they're,
Scratch the rims out.
oh, not just scratch the rims, but split the tyre, split
Oh,
the tube.
So that's it. So
The
really,
advantage of these-
the advantage is carry them. They're designed for this.
They're designed for this, correct, and they won't puncture the tube.
No,
as
you
we
can't
put
be
it back in
doing a
again.
MacGyver with a stick or something.
You can stick would work, but a spoon would. If I had nothing else, I would use the back, not the actual spoon end of the spoon, the back end of the spoon.
I can see how
Not the
those
spoon.
work, honestly.
Right? You'll see when you use these things, that's how they work. But these are shaped exactly to fit the job they're doing, as you're
Okay.
about to find out. Once the side of the tyre is off, we're going to pull the tube from inside the tyre, pull the valve out of its hole, check the tyre walls for sharp objects, because why? If you've got a flat, it's possible there's still something sticking in there. So if you don't check for that, then you're probably going to put a new tube in and get another flat
Yeah.
in exactly the same spot.
Which wouldn't be the first to have done that.
And so we're going to be checking that, right? And looking to see if there's any debris in the tyre. So if you ever want to know how high a tyre gets pressure, this one sadly isn't written in blue writing, but it is on the side, as we'll see, and it will tell you the tyre pressure information. This one says 120 psi, right? So to reinstall the tube, we put a little air inside the tube so it gives it a shape. And make sure the valve is aligned correctly. That's the valve. Insert into the valve hole, tighten up the valve nut, which is on this one, and you're in to get started on putting the tyre back in onto the rim. So putting the tyre back on is literally opposite of getting it off, but again, it's much easier than it might appear. Right? You use your hands to get the tyre on the rim, as far along the rim as possible, as I'll demonstrate. Put the tyre lever between the tyre and the rim and leave it over the rim a little until the tyre's on the rim, and you just keep going around until it goes plop and gets in there. Then you undo the Schrader valve. You can see now the nut is on there. Undo the Schrader valve until it's fully open. See that it's got to be fully open, or it won't press down enough to let the air in. And we've all made that mistake. Maybe you haven't by now. And it reflects the correct pressure of the hand pump. It can be really hard work, and it's most likely this is all you're going to have with you. So it's good practice to use the one we're going to use today.
So how long should that take you from, let's say I've got would I have a flat tyre?
Yeah, you've got, say you had your spare and you were good at this,
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Oh, okay, that's
I
not
could
too
do it,
bad.
I reckon I could do, if in a competition, maybe under 5 minutes to get this whole job done.
Okay.
But this one, sadly the pump I had is even smaller than this and doesn't have a tyre pressure monitor on, but I'll give you some hints on how to know how. You basically do it as hard as you can. You cannot get 120 psi with a hand pump this big, no matter how hard you go. You'll just hurt yourself. So
And what if it was like to some bike, I'm assuming that
Yeah.
not all bikes, if this is a thin, some are at only 80, what
Yeah,
would be
which is-
average?
these road tyres are about 120, mountain bikes 50,
Yeah.
and off-road 30.
Okay.
So, but I have got a secondary pump to check how much pressure you can get in and see how you go.
Okay.
So that's a skill tester. No competition though. So I just thought I'd give you an example of where you could buy, say on a shop, what you'd be looking for, which is a small hand pump with a little gauge on.
Yeah, because I don't want to be having to carry too much extra
No,
weight.
you don't.
on
You
the
want
bike.
light and you want
Yeah.
it functional. You want it to be high quality, or it'll just break the first time you use it. So if you buy the cheapest bits,
Or you get
and
somebody else.
this one has a Schrader and a Presto valve thing, so you could
Yeah.
technically pump up a car tire with it, even if you had enough hours.
Yeah, no, that would not be fun.
And you wouldn't be, it would not be fun. Better than getting stranded though.
Yeah, true.
So Okay, so this is about the seat. So you can see here that it hasn't seated correctly. The tyre has not gone. You can see that this is what it's supposed to look like, this line, and there is a line on it. But this one has gone up and over. So it has not seated correctly, and you'd have to just deflate it, press it in, and get it on the bead again, and make sure it goes in correctly. Again, there's a direction of rotation on all tyres, and it's written on the side of the tyre. Sadly, this tyre's got all black writing on it, all black tyre. It is there, you just got to be in good light. And this does say, if you have a look here, it says 120 psi on the side there. And there'll be a rotational, it says rotation, and there's an arrow here that points that way. So when the bike's upside down, you've got to work out which way it's going to be turning. But it does, because the tyre itself has a pattern that works better one way than another. This one doesn't look like much, but it's got a rotation, so you may as well do it. So that's the angle, that's sort of directional. And again, that's just an easier, clearer way of seeing where the PSI should be. And that's the end of the presentation. It's time to get practical. So I'm just going to turn the video off and we're going to go to the practical session.
Continue.